On March 8, 2014, a passenger jet carrying 239 people vanished from the sky. No distress signal, no mayday call, no wreckage on the water. It simply disappeared, as if the earth had opened and swallowed it whole. For more than a decade, the world has searched for answers. What happened to Malaysia Airlines Flight 370? This is Hidden Lens Files. It began as a routine red-eye. Malaysia Airlines Flight 370, a Boeing 777-200ER, was scheduled to fly from Kuala Lumpur to Beijing, a 6-hour overnight journey across the night sky. At 12:41 a.m. local time, the aircraft lifted off from Kuala Lumpur International Airport. On board were 239 souls, 227 passengers, and 12 crew. They came from 15 nations, families, business travelers, students, and infants. The crew was experienced. The aircraft was modern. By every measure, this was an unremarkable flight until it wasn't. At the controls were Captain Zahari Ahmad Shah, a veteran with 18,000 flight hours, and First Officer Fariq Abdul Hamid. Their route would take them northeast over the South China Sea toward Vietnam, then onward to Beijing. For the first 40 minutes, everything was normal. At 1:19 a.m., the aircraft approached the boundary between Malaysian and Vietnamese airspace. Vietnamese controllers asked MH370 to switch radio frequencies. The final words from the cockpit were routine. "Good night, Malaysian 370. Those would be the last words anyone ever heard from the aircraft. 2 minutes later, at 1:21 a.m., the aircraft's transponder, the device that broadcasts its position, altitude, and identity, was switched off. On the screens of air traffic controllers, Flight 370 simply vanished. No alert, no alarm, just silence. Radar data later revealed that the aircraft did not continue toward Beijing. Instead, it turned sharply west, heading back across the Malay Peninsula. The plane that was supposed to fly northeast was now flying into the darkness. Military radar tracked an unidentified aircraft as it crossed the peninsula and flew north of Penang, then turned northwest along the Strait of Malacca. It was MH370, but no one connected the dots until hours later. By then, it had disappeared from all radar entirely. What no one knew was that the aircraft was still communicating, not with ground stations, but with a satellite. An Inmarsat satellite over the Indian Ocean exchanged brief automated signals called handshakes with the aircraft once every hour. These handshakes carried no position data, no messages, but they held something crucial: timing and frequency information. British engineers at Inmarsat used this data to calculate two possible flight corridors, one stretching north, one stretching south. The search became the largest in aviation history. 26 nations contributed aircraft, ships, submarines, and satellites. They scoured the South China Sea, the Strait of Malacca, and the vast southern Indian Ocean. Nothing was found. Weeks turned into months. Months turned into years. Then, in July 2015, 16 months after the disappearance, a fragment of an aircraft wing washed ashore on Réunion Island, thousands of kilometers from the suspected crash site. It was a flaperon from a Boeing 777. Investigators confirmed it was from MH370. More debris would later wash up on African coastlines. But the main wreckage and the flight recorders were never found. In the absence of answers, theories emerged. The most prominent suggests deliberate action. Someone on board, likely the pilot, intentionally diverted the aircraft and flew it toward the remote southern Indian Ocean. Other explanations include a catastrophic mechanical failure or onboard fire that disabled communications and overwhelmed the crew, or gradual hypoxia, oxygen loss, that rendered everyone unconscious while the plane flew on autopilot until it ran out of fuel. Each theory has evidence. None has proof. Investigators concluded the disappearance resulted from deliberate intervention, but they could not determine who or why. For the families of the 239 souls on board, the mystery is not academic. It is deeply, painfully personal. Birthdays pass, anniversaries pass, children grow up without parents. Parents mourn children who never came home. They are still waiting for wreckage, for answers, for closure that may never come. Some mysteries are solved within days. Others remain unanswered for decades. MH370 is one of them. What do you think happened to Flight MH370? Hidden Lens Files, Episode 1.